It's 7 a.m. and I'm walking through a ballroom of a big hotel in Toronto. One hand, I have a bag of donuts and a coffee that's not for me. In the other hand, I have a jump drive and a sheet of paper. I'm on a mission, and I really hope today goes well. It's the Browsers Bash, which is a big magicians conference. 450 magicians fly in from all over to watch and learn how to do magic. Top performers come and reveal their best material. Lee Asher has asked me to perform at the Browsers Bash, which is surprising to me because, firstly, Lee barely ever hires local magicians for this conference, and he's also a world-famous sleight-of-hand magician who notoriously hates big escape stunts. And I've heard that before, but people often kind of come around, but not Lee. Especially after Lee was backstage while I was hanging upside down from a theater doing a straitjacket escape with chains, and because my assistant screwed something up, I got stuck. And I was really upset because that show in particular, I really just wanted to impress Lee. He's been a magic hero of mine since I was a teenager, so I really wanted to impress him. I offer to perform Houdini's infamous milk can escape. It's a metal drum about waist height that fills to the brim with water. The magician is handcuffed inside. Typically, you hold your breath for about 4 to 5 minutes, and the lid is locked from the outside. This was the trick that Houdini would perform, where audiences literally thought that he could dematerialize and pass his body through solid metal objects. He nearly died performing this stunt, and since then, about 3 magicians, I think maybe even 4, have died while attempting the milk can escape. Now, for logistical reasons, Lee says, okay, do the milk can, but we can't use water. Can't use water. Decide I'll make it more of a puzzle for the magicians in the audience. Try to fool them. There's nothing better for a magician than fooling other magicians. So I'm going to try to fool these magicians with this trick. That's why I'm here, 12 hours before my performance, with the jump drive, and the sheet of paper, and the coffee and the donuts, because I'm about to meet Steve, the sound and lighting director. One thing I've learned in show business, you have to take care of the people who take care of you. Now, Steve tells me that I'm one of 2 people who gave him a tech sheet and the only person who brought him donuts. I watch as he takes the jump drive and loads the 3 audio tracks onto his desktop computer. They're clearly marked in all caps: entrance music, talking track, and escape music. I didn't tell the audience of magicians about the talking track, but I'll tell you. For this trick, I decided to have the talking track, and as soon as I got into the milk can and the lid locked into place, Steve was to play that track. And I was pre-recorded to sound like I was still in the can. This enabled me, I'm talking to the audience live, this enables me to mute my microphone, make my escape, and that way the sound of what I'm doing won't be picked up and broadcast to the live audience. So I watch as Steve puts these files onto his computer, he tests out the tracks and marks on the board the levels for each one. And I take my seat in the audience. Now, the magicians that day were brilliant. I got to see card magic that I have never seen before. But throughout the day, there are all these tech glitches, microphones not working, and the projection screens not kind of cutting in and out. And it was particularly obvious when Michael Ammar took the stage. Now, Michael Ammar is like a god in our industry. He's performed on Letterman and The Tonight Show. And he sat down at his close-up magic table, but the screens just weren't working. And without missing a beat, he stands up, takes center stage, and takes out his silk pocket square. Lets it fall from one hand to the other. He repeats this, and the second time when it falls, a full bottle of wine magically appeared. Audience went crazy. Usually it was polite golf claps, but now they were really into this. Then he taught the magicians in the audience how to do this. This took the group of polite Canadian magicians, and now they were on their feet, giving him a standing ovation. But throughout the day, tech problem after tech problem, I'm starting to get nervous in the pit of my stomach for my performance. It's now 7 p.m. I'm standing side stage. The MC has just introduced me, and I'm waiting for my entrance music to go on. But it doesn't go on. Standing there waiting, and it doesn't go on. It's borderline too much time before it's just too awkward, so I decide to just go out. And I express how grateful I am to be there and how happy I am to be performing for the audience, but my headset microphone isn't working. So I repeat again, how excited I am to be there, but again, nothing. As I start to project my voice to the very back row, it kicks in and rough start. But I go on with my monologue. I explain how Houdini would perform his version of the trick. He had a secret second layer to his milk can that the lid would lock to. Now when he was inside, he'd simply have to press up and the two layers would separate. That's how he made his escape. I invite an audience member up on stage to examine my milk can and ensure to the audience that mine is only one layer. But this guy examines all of my props. He looks at the handcuffs and the padlocks and shines his cell phone light through my milk can. As he's doing this, I'm calling out, "Steve, could you please play the entrance music?" I notice that every time I talk to Steve from on stage, which is several times at this point, the audience begins to kind of shift uncomfortably in their seat, roll their eyes. It's really unprofessional. But I go on with my monologue, and I need this music to play, because the escape that I'm about to do creates a lot of noise, and if there's loud music playing, it'll mask that. I purposefully pick really orchestral, dramatic music to hide those noises. But no music is playing. And after asking 3 or 4 times, I notice that Lee is running towards the sound booth. I just keep on with my monologue. I keep talking about the trick, and the props are being examined. Finally, it gets to the point where instead of using water, we decided to fill the can with packing peanuts instead. We had to fill it with something. As the packing peanuts are being poured in, this is the point in the tech sheet where Steve is supposed to stop playing the entrance music and start playing the escape music. So I call out again. All of a sudden I hear from the back of the room Lee's voice. "Scott, we can't find your music." My throat starts closing up and I begin to shake. But I can picture where the jump drive with the music is in my dressing room. I call back, "Lee, it's in a red case in my dressing room, small jump drive, you'll see it." And Lee takes off running. Now I have to stall. I look back and notice the packing peanuts kind of falling on the stage and nervously ask, "Is anybody allergic to peanuts?" The audience roars with laughter at this. Like, okay, they're laughing at jokes that really aren't funny. But this tells me that they're on my side, and I begin to relax a little bit. Finally, I notice Lee running right back to the sound booth, jump drive in hand. I ask Steve, "Steve, could you please play the track marked escape music?" But no music kicks in. Instead, it's my voice, booming, echoing through the speakers.
"It's really uncomfortable in this milk can. It's hard to breathe with all these packing peanuts."
I am mortified. But I can salvage this, I can salvage this. That is a recording of me practicing this trick. And the audience starts to giggle a little bit, because magicians, we record our practice sessions in order to improve, and some of them seem to have bought it. "Steve, do not play that track again. Please play the track marked escape music in all caps." But no music plays. Instead, it's my voice, booming, echoing through the speakers.
"It's really uncomfortable in this milk can. It's hard to breathe with all these packing peanuts."
Now I'm angry. "Steve, do not play that track again. Please, I just need some music." Now people in the audience, after hearing me ask several times for this, are starting to get involved. Someone turns back and yells at Steve, "Play some goddamn music!" I'm getting mad and getting angry. I see Steve walk back over to the board. He hits play.
"It's really uncomfortable in this milk can. It's hard to breathe with all these packing peanuts."
I'm really angry at this point. I'm just so frustrated because I brought him coffee, I wasted my donuts on him, I brought him a tech sheet, and I just need some music. I'm trying to fool these magicians. You know what, Steve? Just play anything. Just open up iTunes and play anything. Finally, I see Steve lurch back over to the sound booth. He hits play, and this time I get a song, but it's a song called "I Miss You" by Aaliyah, which, if you don't know, is a 90s R&B slow jam where Aaliyah's boyfriend goes off to college and she sings, "Is your heart still mine? I want to cry sometime. I miss you." But I've got music, and although it's a 90s R&B slow jam, we've got music. So I do a little sexy, suggestive dance. My assistant comes over, puts the handcuffs on. I climb into the milk can. The lid gets locked into place, and my assistants raise a little curtain in front of the milk can to obstruct the audience view to, again, protect the secret. As I'm in there, listening to the music, it fades. And now it's my voice, booming, echoing through the speakers.
It's really uncomfortable in this milk can. It's hard to breathe with all these packing peanuts.
I am banging on the inside of the can, yelling at my assistant to get Steve to stop playing the talking track and play some goddamn music. Eventually, the talking track fades out, but no music comes on. And I realize that I'm going to have to perform this with no music, in complete silence, with the audience listening extra carefully for the secret. I'm really sorry, I can't explain to you how I got out of the milk can, because magicians have to protect their secret, but what I can tell you is how it sounded. The audience sitting there hears all these loud metallic popping type noises, and I can hear them laughing. Eventually I'm out of the can, I'm covered in packing peanuts all over the stage. I'm standing behind this curtain, thinking to myself, should I go out there and face the audience, or just run off stage, never to be seen again? I stand there wondering for what feels like 10 minutes, but is probably about 5 seconds. I take a deep breath, reach up, unhook the curtain, and let it fall. For a second, it's just me and the audience looking at each other. And this roar goes through the audience. They leap to their feet and they give me a standing ovation. And I'm smiling and I take a little bow, walk backstage with my head down, because I really wanted to impress this room full of my peers. As I'm walking back to my dressing room with my head down, Lee stops me and gives me a giant hug. He says, "I'm gonna kill that fucking guy." He then says, "There were 2 standing ovations today, and you got one of them. Thank you." So Marsha usually has musicians at the show. I know from sitting in the audience, and as many of these as I can come to, and they'll talk about a song, often about what goes into it, and then perform the song. And because there were no musicians today, she asked if I would be happy to perform something, and I thought, this is great. And when I actually started looking through the material of what I could possibly perform, I realized that tonight is a almost perfect night for this demonstration. Now, this demonstration came from a quote that is one of my all-time favorite quotes. I'm probably going to mix it up just a little bit, but the quote goes something along the lines of, "Societies grow best when its citizens plant seeds for trees in which the shade they will never sit." And I love that. I love the idea of planting something and never getting the benefit of what you've done. And I started thinking about a possible trick with magic that I could kind of work out to fit that. So unfortunately, you guys are only going to get to see half of this demonstration tonight, but you'll also, somebody, hopefully, is going to help me set up the next half. And you guys will probably never get to see it. So here's how it works. And I'm going to need some help at some point. But before I pick a volunteer, I would like to call your attention to this sealed envelope, which will remain in plain view right up on the stage. And is there somebody that I've never met before that would be willing to help with this? You're the first hand that I saw. You can stay there. Your name? Nancy. Awesome. So Nancy, everything that you're about to do has already been done by another volunteer. Now you're going to set up the next version of this. Now Nancy, I've handed you an envelope with a couple bold instructions or bold kind of titles. Open on, sealed by, on, and location. Now, I was performing a show in Maple Creek, Saskatchewan on December 22nd, 2017. I was working with a volunteer named Jen G, and I told Jen to think of any date in the calendar year in the future. Could be a birthday, an anniversary, a best friend's birthday, anything. Now, Nancy, once you've got that date in your head, if it hasn't happened yet in 2018, if you could post-date it to 2019, that would be great. But if you got a date that you're thinking of, beautiful. Next to open on, I'd like you to write that date. Now we're missing this one by one day, but I don't do shows every day, so this was the next closest one. Is it yesterday's date, I think? Perfect. Underneath that, I'd like you to write sealed by, and then you can write your name, Nancy, and if you choose to do a last initial, great. If not, that's okay too. On, and then today's date, which is August 15th, 2018, and you can write location, Toronto. So, everything that Nancy's doing was done about a half year ago, a little bit more than that. Now Nancy, here's the more complicated part, and I've got a deck of cards to help you as best I can walk you through this. What I'd like you to do, put the envelope, pass it to a friend, or you can just put it on your lap. You're going to take the pack of cards out of the card box. Awesome. And you've got giant cards, so that this shows up a little bit better on stage. But they are very difficult to handle, so if you have trouble with this, it's okay. And what I'd like you to do is fan the cards facing down so that you cannot see the cards. I don't want you to see the card. I don't want to see the card. I don't want anybody to see the card. That's what makes this exciting for me. When you're ready, I'd like you to pull one card out, but leave it facing down. All right, beautiful. You're going to then turn the rest of the pack face up, and you're going to put that card face down in the middle of the face up deck. So there's only one card, middle of the deck, facing the opposite direction. When you're ready, you're going to close the cards together and put them in the card box. You're then going to put the card box in the envelope. You don't have to lick it and seal it because that's disgusting. It's got the pull tab ones. It's much better. If you lick it, some people do for... Never mind. Awesome. Now, Nancy, I'm going to keep that envelope in my office, and hopefully, what date did you pick?
December 31st, 2018.
December 31st, 2018, which is great because I often perform on New Year's Eve, so this I will take to that show. I'm then going to have the volunteer, the next one who's setting up the next version of this, stand up and point to a random stranger that they've never met before. I'm going to take that envelope, and hopefully the person will name the card that you just turned upside down and put inside the middle of the deck. Now this is great for me because I don't have anything to do with this. It's also great for me because if the trick doesn't work, it's their fault and not mine. So Nancy, I'm going to collect that envelope. While I'm doing that, if I could get you to stand up and point to somebody in the audience, perhaps that wants to name the card for today. And Nancy, someone that you've never met before. Perfect. Stand up. Grab that back. Thank you very much. Nice round of applause, by the way, for Nancy. Thank you very much, Nancy. Awesome. And what's your name? Eva? Eva, we've never met before? You've got an important job, Eva. I think you can do it. Now, Eva, I'd like you to name any card in the deck. Now, most women, when they're told to name a card, will name the aces or the queens or the kings. I want you to think of perhaps an obscure card, something that maybe is your second or third choice. 7 of diamonds. Any particular reason? Now, I haven't opened the envelope yet. I'm going to give you the fair chance, only if you'd like to change your mind. Make sure this is the right envelope. I once opened the envelope that was just prepared and wasted everybody's time. haven't taken the pack of cards out yet. I'm going to give you the fair chance, only if you'd like, to change your mind before we go through. The 1 in 52. 7 of... We're all in this together, because I don't know what the card is. Just so that it's a little bit easier to see. Do you guys mind if I hop up on the stage and then I'll fan the cards out and we'll all experience this together? And again, if it's not the right card, your fault, not mine.
Connor, can you put the stage lights on, please?
That is what a talented... And exactly right. And this was not rehearsed. In fact, when I came in, Marsha was like, Scott, do you have any special tech? And I was like, nope. I might hop up on the stage, but that's fine. Connor, you're on it. Thank you. Yeah. 7 of... They actually turned the card upside down. Oh, it's right at the top. If this is right, you did a fantastic job and you should buy a lottery ticket tonight. What did you say? The 7 of... You nailed it. Awesome, and Nancy, thank you for planting the next seed. You guys have been great. Thank you very much. My name is Scott. Let's have a nice big round of applause for Marsha, ladies and gentlemen.